Hello, and welcome to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a podcast with me, Brittany Duncan, a millennial homemaker. Join me each week as I share all the things I've learned that make keeping your home, garden, and life running smoothly, all while working. If you are enjoying the podcast, please be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcasting app so you get the episodes downloaded straight to you every Monday. Now, on to today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional. I apologize for the sound of my voice today. I am getting over what I think is the flu that unfortunately my husband and I both came down with over the weekend. But alas, I have the episode ready, and I'm going to try to get through this recording. We'll see how it goes. So today I want to talk about our cars, because I feel like there are so many homemakers whose home is tidy, but car is a wreck, right? We've all been there. Ever since I've had my own car, I've always had great pride in keeping it really clean. And the other day, my husband actually called me out on the state of my car. And he didn't mean it offensively, but more like, what's going on, Britt? Your car is way out of sorts for how you normally have it. And he was totally right. And while cleaning and reorganizing my car is still on my to-do list, I was hoping to get that done this weekend, but you know how that goes. I thought now was the perfect time to talk about how I tackle car cleaning and, more importantly, keeping our cars clean. Just an FYI, this episode is primarily going to talk about the inside of the car because I've never been one to get super hung up on the outside of the car. We drive back and forth to our family cabin all the time, and keeping the outside of my car clean just isn't a top priority for me. Every now and then I'll run it through the car wash when things are looking really dirty, but mostly I don't mind the dust and a few mud splashes here and there. I can't help but laugh when I look back to when I was 17, maybe 18, and I was helping a boyfriend clean his car, and he had gone inside to get something, and there was this tough sap spot that was on the hood of the car, and I was determined to get it off. So I scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed with a sponge, and ultimately it did come off, as did the top layer of paint. So moral of the story there, if you have tough stains on your car, get it detailed. He was a really good sport about it, but I definitely felt like a total idiot. Another time, when I was living in South Carolina, I parked my car, my white car, under a crepe myrtle tree, which are beautiful. Love crepe myrtles. But it dropped those beautiful flowers all over my car, and then it rained. And the flowers created these dark streaks all down the side of my car. And I wasn't super concerned until I took it to the car wash, and not a single streak came off. So this was a scenario where I got advice from a detailing place on the one specific product to use a microfiber cloth with it, and they came right off. But at the time, I was really freaking out about what I was going to do. So maybe it's due to being afraid of messing up the paint, but I do try to keep my car away from trees that look like they can drop sap or flowers or leaves that could stain. And then I just deal with the dust when I think about it. The inside of my car is another story, though. I like it clean. I hate the feeling when you unexpectedly need to pick someone up or decide to carpool in your car and it's a mess. I like my car to feel like a clean and well-stocked Uber, if you will. So let's talk about cleaning first, and then we'll get to a talk about what I like to keep in my car. Cleaning-wise, it's all about maintenance. Just like cleaning your home, if you do a little bit often, you don't have the huge burden to get your car back to cleanliness. First up, floor mats. If you don't have them, get them. Not the cheap ones that are felt and come with the car, but some nice rubber ones that have a rim to keep dirt and mud and any liquid contained. My cars have always had nice rubber ones. They've always come with them, but my husband swears by WeatherTech. They are pricey, but you get what you pay for sure. The WeatherTech mats are cut specifically to the make and model of your car, which is huge. They're that exact fit. And you can also get sizes for the trunk as well, which is kind of cool, depending on your vehicle and what you're putting in and out of your car. Floor mats are only as good as shaking them out every now and again, though, right? So, where's a spot to do that? For me, it's at the gas station. I have a whole routine that I go through while my gas is pumping, and I'm going to share that with you. So, you put your gas in, get it pumping, and then take your floor mats out and just tap them out on the concrete there. Just quick tap tap on each floor mat. If you do this every time you fill up with gas, you're not going to be shaking much out of the mat, which is important. If your mats are filthy, definitely don't do this at the gas station. You're probably going to piss off the gas station owners. Do it in your driveway or somewhere else for that first time. But if you're just keeping up with them, you just have a little bit to tap out each time you refill. Just do it at the gas station. I like that because it becomes part of the routine. If you expect to remember to do it at home, it's unlikely, right? When we're getting in our car, we are on a timeline to get somewhere usually, and we're ready to leave. And then when we pull back in the driveway, there's just like this draw to get back indoors. We're not going to want to shake out our floor mats. So that's why I like to do it at the gas station. The other thing I do while I'm there is run through each side of the car, passenger and driver side, and I remove all receipts, cups, wrappers, Kleenex, whatever trash, and get it out. They have handy trash cans right there. It's an easy place to just do a quick once around the car and get out anything that you don't need in the car anymore. And then lastly, I like to keep a variety of wipes in my car. These include a packet of Lysol wipes, a packet of Armor All wipes, and then a pack of Windex wipes. So while my car is filling up, I've tapped out the mats, I've got the trash out. Go ahead and use the Windex wipes on the inside of your windshield, and then I like to use the Armor All wipes on the dash, steering wheel, door handles, gear shift, and if you have leather, your seats. The Lysol wipes I don't use all the time, but I do like having them in the car in case of a spill or something. And every now again, I hit the steering wheel with them and like door handles, because you'd be surprised how nasty your steering wheel can get. So I do like to keep up with that. Probably every second or third time I'll run a Lysol wipe around those heavily touched areas. But those are the 3 steps at the gas station. And with those, you should be keeping your car about 80 to 90% clean. No dirt on the mats, no fingerprints on the glass or dust on the dash. Trash is all gone. Obviously, once in a while, you're going to need to actually vacuum and deep clean the inside of your car. But I promise with these steps every other week, you're going to notice a huge difference in the overall feel of your car. So now let's go on to what I like to keep into my car to keep it well stocked. What I need or might need, and then I remove what I don't. So I'm going to start with the frequently used items first. In the glove box, I like to have an extra stash of napkins and Kleenex. There is a difference, y'all. Napkins are for fingers, Kleenex is for your nose. And coming off of this sickness, I can attest to that more than ever, that I need the puffs plus with lotion and all that jazz for my nose to feel like it's not going to fall off. But there's nothing worse than having to blow your nose into something that feels like sandpaper. So just get one of those little packs of Kleenex, and then, every time you go through a drive-through, just get some napkins and stash them away in there. An extra set of plastic cutlery can also be handy to have in there in case they don't give it to you, or if you brought food from home or something on a road trip and forgot cutlery. It's just handy to have one set in there. Don't go crazy storing a bunch of stuff in there, but just one set. The other thing I like to do in the glove box is to go ahead and put your insurance and registration in an envelope labeled car documents. Touch wood, I have only been pulled over in my car once. Twice in total, if you caught that little qualifier. But the one time that I was in my car, I was probably 19, in college, heading from my babysitting job back to an evening class, and I was speeding. I got pulled over, and I was so flustered that I parked. I took off my seatbelt, to which the officer asked, why I wasn't wearing a seatbelt on top of speeding. So with my shaky voice, I gave him my whole spiel. And then he asked for my license, registration, and proof of insurance. And do you think that I could easily find those things in my glove box? No. I sat there like an idiot, rummaging through napkins, receipts, pens, random pieces of paper, expired registration slips until I finally found what I needed. Never again. Thankfully, I have never had to provide those items since, but if I do, I will pop open that glove box. I will pull out my nicely labeled envelope that contains only my current registration and insurance card. When they come in the mail now, I take that envelope, I remove the old ones and trash them, and I pop in the new and I tuck it back into its spot. Easy peasy. So that's just a really nice peace of mind to have that you've got those things where they're supposed to be. They're labeled. They're not going to get thrown out. They're safe in their little envelope. Moving on to the center console, I like to keep hand sanitizer, a lip balm that's in a tub with a screw top. I know that sounds really specific, but when your car gets to be 100 degrees in the summer, you don't want it to melt out and into your car. It happens, speaking from experience, so I like to get one that, screws tight, that it's not going to leak out of. Medications, I have a little set of pill containers that I got from Amazon. I'll put a link in the show notes, but I like to keep one in my purse and then one in my car that contains just some basic meds. Ibuprofen, Tums, Sudafed, Benadryl, a few cough drops, Pepto-Bismol, those kind of things. It's really nice to have when you feel a headache coming on to be able to nip it in the bud, or if your passenger isn't feeling great, you have something to offer them. So I just keep that little container in there all the time. I also like to have a snack or two. Car snacks are tough, though. They need to be able to stand the heat or the cold. I found nuts to be a good one as long as you're getting through them within the month. Nuts in a hot car in the summer will probably go rancid more than a month. I love Laura bars, and they do well. Not the ones that have chocolate chips in them, but the other ones. But depending on the winter, they can be a little tough because they get cold. Chomps, the meat sticks, they do well. Again, I'm not sure how I feel about them being heated, so that's more of a winter snack. But just keeping a little something in there. I don't like to be hungry, so I'm a big proponent of having snacks around. Also, having a little emergency stash of food is always a good call. You never know how long you might be stuck in traffic, or God forbid you go off the road somewhere. It's a good idea to have a little something with you. Speaking about going off the road, let's talk about what I like to keep in my car for emergency use. Johnson knows I like to be prepared and that I have fears about being stranded in my car. So he set up a really great emergency kit for us. And before you think I'm crazy, the road that we take from Boise to the cabin is about 2.5 to 3 hours long, depending on whether you're driving in the winter or summer. And the majority of the drive, you're without cell phone service. It's very windy with lots of wildlife. Think 700-pound elk. There are steep cliffs that run along the side with a fast-moving river at the bottom of said cliffs, and there's a stretch called Avalanche Alley, which is one of only 3 highways in the United States considered high risk in the Avalanche Hazard Index. So it's a gorgeous drive, but we're often driving at night and when Johnson gets off work, and I just have a healthy appreciation for what can happen on mountain roads. I grew up in Canada. We saw a lot of bad accidents from people that weren't prepared. So if you are not driving treacherous roads often or always, I still think a car kit is a good idea. You might not have everything I have in the one I'm about to run through, but take what you think you might need or what you would like to have. So jumper cables are a must. I have a battery pack jumper. This is one of those things that Johnson got me to build out the kit because the cables are only as good as having another vehicle to hook them up to, which is a luxury that you might not have, especially for us on the mountain roads, right? So we have this battery pack jumper. You charge it once a quarter, and it's good to go. Flashlight and batteries. We keep some headlamps in this kit with extra AA batteries. They're not our hiking headlamps. I think it's important to have one that's specifically dedicated to the kit. So these are just some cheaper ones, but we have 2 sets of headlamps in there. That battery pack jumper also has a flashlight on it, but there's something really handy about having a headlamp and being able to be hands-free. So highly recommend that. This is not in the kit, but rather next to us on each pocket door of the driver and passenger, we keep combo tools that are a window punch and seatbelt cutter. In the kit that's back in the back, we have emergency blankets, gloves. These are some like thicker rubber gloves that Johnson got that have like a softer kind of like Sherpa lining, so they'd be somewhat warm. They're waterproof. They've got like some grip to them. You might not have gloves in the car, but even on like a summer night in the mountains, it's cold at night. So while we're traveling in the summer, we don't have our winter gloves with us, but it's nice to always have a pair of gloves in the car. Some first aid supplies, gauze, bandage, tourniquet, a Sharpie. Just if you don't know how to use a tourniquet, I highly recommend watching a YouTube video on it. So there's like some stop the bleed courses that you can watch. And the Sharpie is important because once you place the tourniquet, you'll want to mark the time that you placed it on, so that when emergency services does arrive, they have an idea of when that happened. Medical gloves and a pocket mask for CPR. This isn't for us, hopefully, but rather in case we ever come across an accident and need to administer CPR. You don't have to have a pocket mask, obviously, to give CPR, but if you're going to do the mouth-to-mouth portion, it's just protecting you and your patient. So it's just something I like to have. They're really cheap. I think the one that we got on Amazon was like $6 or something. So it's just an easy thing to have on hand. Emergency food. These are some high calorie bars and water pouches. And then lastly, duct tape. I believe the whole world can be solved with duct tape. And I do keep a medium sized knife as well. In Johnson's car, he keeps a tow strap, and we both have spare tires and jacks and all that normal stuff. So if nothing else, this kit is a peace of mind, but you never know what kind of situation you may end up in or come across. If you come across an accident, it would be really great to have some supplies if needed until emergency services arrive, right? A few notes while I've got you and we're on this topic. If you see an accident, your immediate reaction can be to pull over right behind them. It's important to make sure that you and your vehicle are in a safe location. You should be at least 100 yards. Your vehicle should be at least 100 yards from their vehicle. Turn your car off, but turn on your hazards. Something else we have in the kit that I just realized I forgot about is we have flare lights. So rather than the chemical flares that last for 15 minutes, these are chargeable lights. They're 3 kind of hockey puck sized discs that either flash red or can stay solid red or flash white or stay solid white. Again, charge them every quarter. So when we're charging that battery pack, we also charge these lights. And these are something that you might just quickly place behind your car on the road to direct people that they're going to need to go around a situation. But don't pull up directly behind the vehicle that got into an accident or you see on the side of the road. It's super common for people to get hit on the side of the road when they've stopped to help someone. Additionally, if your car breaks down and you're on the side of the highway, maybe waiting for AAA, get out of your vehicle and stand as far off to the side of the highway as you can. This is where having that emergency blanket, gloves, or some extra layers is important, so that you can stay warm on the side of the road, even if you're not having to sleep in your car. You really don't want to be a sitting duck in that car on the side of the highway and risk getting hit, because it does happen all too often. So when you come up on the accident, after you park your car, you'll get your cell phone. Another thing we have in the kit is a flagging vest. Again, super cheap, just a yellow basic construction vest. First aid kit and those flares. You'll probably turn the flares on right away, but you also might just want to assess how bad the accident looks. They should be a few hundred yards either direction of the accident. Put on the flagging vest so that you can easily be seen. And then you can go assess the individuals involved in the accident. As you approach, use your senses, right? Eyesight, do you see smoke? Did they hit a pole? Are there power lines down? Smell, do you smell smoke or gasoline? Once you get to the vehicle, if it's still running, turn it off. Get an understanding of like how many victims are in the car and their chief complaints and severity. And once you've got that understanding, now call 911, right? You can look around, give the location, visual markers, kind of let them know what is going to be needed based on, your assessment. And then from there, they'll give you instruction. You can kind of let them know what you have on hand in your kit, and they'll take it from there in terms of like what you should do, knowing how far away emergency personnel are. I know this is like a serious talk for an episode that started about cleaning your car, but it all goes back to being prepared. Homemakers are prepared inside of the home, but there is no reason that we can't translate that to being prepared outside of the home. Hopefully, you'll take some time to consider your routines and what you might need in your own car kit. But if nothing else, hopefully the cleaning, organizing portion will help you just to keep up with the little receipts and trash bits that end up in our car that are relentless and help us keep on top of it. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Untraditionally Traditional. If you enjoy the podcast, please share it with those special people who would love it too, and write a review. For more tips and photos of my home and garden, follow Untraditionally Traditional Pod on Instagram. Until next week, let's continue to make our homes places of joy and service to ourselves and those we share them with.